Great. Ready. Okay, Katie and Amanda, for me, I'll be interviewing you today.
Awesome, thank you.
Did you find this place okay?
Yeah, no, great direction.
Great.
Great problem at all.
Good. All right, so we're just gonna get right into it.
Okay.
First off, I will kind of go through some background information on kind of your experience, get to know you a little better. Then we'll kind of get into more specific questions and kind of get into some hypothetical questions to see how you would respond in those situations for our organization if you're a good fit. So, so getting right into it, kind of looking at your resume, I see that you're a communication studies major.
I am.
Have you taken any classes in the past that would apply to this job?
Yeah, I think definitely. I took an interpersonal comm, which really helped me kind of develop how to communicate with people in different types of scenarios, as well as different like age groups and demographics.
Mm-hmm.
I also took a course on visual persuasion, so I have some experience with like Photoshop and kind of presenting messages and kind of selling a product.
Right, good, okay. So kind of you talking about Photoshop, regarding developing brochures, which we'll have to do, a candidate will have to do, is required for our job to have experience. Have you had experience with Microsoft Office? Or?
Yeah, in addition to Photoshop, I do have experience with Microsoft Office. I worked in the Studies Abroad office at the University of Portland, so I frequently made flyers for our various programs, presenting travel opportunities, how it fits into academic programs, so presenting information in a way that's visually appealing.
Good. Okay, so you're kind of really comfortable in that. So
Yeah.
it's really comfortable. Okay, good. So you have Photoshop, Microsoft Office. So is there nothing else? Just is there more other programs that you're familiar with, or just the Photoshop and the?
I have some experience with web design.
Okay.
As well as, I mean, if you wanted to include like social media, I've run Tumblr sites, I've done company Facebook accounts.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. So Tumblr, speaking of social media, Tumblr, what kind of experience do you have with the social media?
The program I ran as a student coordinator in the Studies Abroad office is for the Salzburg Year program, and so I run the student Tumblr on behalf of the University of Portland. And it's basically reaching out to both of my current group of students as well as like past people who have access to the Tumblr site. And it has information about travel, like fun things to do while you're abroad, like where to go, safety things, different opportunities that arise that's relevant to their program.
Okay, good. Okay, so kind of switching gears here. For our organization, for this job, you would sometimes be put in positions to create activities for these athletes, for the colleges to come in and kind of look at activities for the student athletes. So if you were put in a position to make activities for the athletic camps, what type of activities would you include in the athletes camps?
For a college-age student, I definitely think team building, like you want people to be really comfortable with their fellow athletes. Food is always a great way to get people kind of excited about where they are, especially with college kids.
Right.
I also think it's important to include people who have gone through the program, so maybe getting past participants involved as a way for kind of maybe a mentor type position that they could ask questions, they'd have an understanding of maybe what their future might look like if they pursue the program.
Why, can you elaborate on the team building? Why do you think team building is so important?
I think team building is really important just as like a social skill. Like people need to be comfortable with where they are. Also, your team are people who understand what you're going through, because as a college athlete, I mean, most of your peers don't understand how your schedule works, how you manage everything done. And like your team are like those are the people that are there with you and do understand what you did.
Good. Okay. So with this job, we know that you'll have to be working with a lot of people. You'll be working with the groups of people and whatnot. So we would like to know, from your past jobs or past groups that you've worked with, how do you feel about the dynamics with those past jobs or groups of people or that you've been involved with?
Yeah, I work really well with others. In group projects, I really like to delegate and kind of keep things organized. In my past job working in the Study Abroad office, I was a senior coordinator, so I had a fellow student who worked, he was a year younger than me, so he worked below me, and I trained him, and I really like splitting tasks and kind of making sure that everyone has the opportunity to participate and feels like they're being able to contribute. Yeah, but...
Okay, great. So now I'm going to get a look into the hypothetical questions just to see how you respond in these kind of organizations. So if you were planning an event and your manager doesn't agree with what you're doing or trying to do, how would you go about with advocating for yourself, and how would you handle that situation?
Okay. I mean, you definitely have to take into account the fact that they are your manager and
right.
It's therefore their project. So you do have to take that in. But if you do have a good idea, or if I have a good idea that I think really will benefit whatever I'm working for, I think having justification for why, like if I can explain why this is a good choice or why this is a good product, whether it's financial or visual, I think that's the best way to kind of reason with someone.
Right.
And then at that point they can kind of look at it and maybe you can compromise, because you can see like, oh, like I see your point here, like let's include this for sure, and then if I hear their opinion as well, like you can either add to it or subtract.
Right. Okay, good. All right. So lastly, this is our job description.
Yeah.
So hypothetically, if you were to switch positions, how would you go with asking a question based on our job description?
Okay. Well, one thing that stands out to me is like, if you are to be the human resources specialist and event coordinator for this program, you're going to be required to work with people in various stations in life who all have different wants and needs. You have the athletes and what they want. You have their parents who might be paying for it. You have coaches. You have faculty. Like, my question would be, how would you go about balancing that and making sure that everyone's needs are met?
Okay. So you go ahead and answer that question. You gotta answer your own question.
Okay. Well, I guess I have a similar experience. Working in the study abroad office, I work with students who all want to go abroad. I work with parents who are paying for their students to go abroad. I work with
right.
faculty who are concerned about the classes and what candidates are going. And so there's a lot of different dynamics, and I think balancing that, like obviously the student has to come first. Like, they're adults, it's their life. Like, they need to be fully involved in the entire process.
Right.
But also keeping parents updated, making sure that they have an understanding of what their student might be going through, and having them work with their student more so than maybe me, but I always want the student to be involved. It's their life.
Great. Okay, good. That was a great question. All right, so that's it for us. If you have any questions, you can ask now.
One question I have, like the hours, as far as like, are they office hours, or would it be more of, I guess the question is like the balance between the human resource specialist, like office, and then the events. What would the hour count be for that?
I think for like specifically like the whole. Like,
yeah.
Okay. It'd be. I mean, it'd be pretty normal, as in like a full day. On the weekdays,
okay.
Like full, pretty the full hour, full job. Like morning, afternoon.
Okay. And then the events would be like additional hours.
Yes, that would be more on the weekends. Would be additional, kind of planning the events. So you'd have the weekdays to do so, and then those events would take place on different days.
Yeah, so. that was my biggest concern, was just what the schedule would look like.
Okay, great. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
We'll get back to you in the next week or so.